Welcome to another video from Lessons in Logic. In this video we're going to put some of the recently advertised correct score strategies to the test. Correct score strategies have been around for years, but in recent weeks they seem to be the hot topic of the off-season. We're going to look at strategies from Sports Trading Life and BTC who have put out correct score trading videos recently. I'm also going to throw in the strategy I created in my last video, plus a variant of this for good measures. As a reminder, I'm not selling membership to a trading community or expensive courses which show you more of what you've seen on YouTube. I am independent, I have my favourite trading tools and it is obvious which those are, but everything shown in this video is for your benefit so you can see how these trades play out and make your own decisions. We are going to use the Sports IQ Correct Score Simulator to model our games. This simulator is so impressive. The speed at which you can test your strategy is second to none. I have not seen any correct score simulator perform like this previously. For the simulation, I've split it into 2 runs of 100 games. In the first run, I've taken the advice from Sports Trading Live and BTC videos literally. In the next 100 results, I've added in some common sense which should appease some viewers. The simulation is not a 100% true reflection of the strategies due to the way the simulator works. For example, in my strategy, I want games where the home team scores first in 70% of the games and the away team concedes first in 70% of the games. The strategy also looked for odds between 1.3 and 1.6. To even things up so that the simulation is not just running to my parameters, we're going to run it for every game where the home team back odds are between 1.2 and 1.8. As neither BTC or Sports Trading Life discuss match selection in any detail, this is our first control. If I was following their videos religiously, I'd be running this strategy on any random game, which is not good. Before we get to work, let's recap on the rules for each strategy in the first run of 100 games. For my strategy, we look for games with the home favourite between 1.3 and 1.6, with the home team scoring first in 70% of the games, and the away team conceding first in 70% of the games. If the half-time score is one that we cover, we are going to remove all liability unless the score is 3-0 or 3-1, as these are the last 2 scores we have. If at 70 minutes we don't cover the next 2 scores, we cash out. Otherwise, we stay in until we don't cover the next 2 scores or full time. I'm also including a variation of my strategy. It is the same as the original, apart from that we don't cash out, we leave it running for the whole game. The Sports Trading Life strategy involved us removing our liability at half time and every time in the second half a goal is scored. His video shows him doing this until the 85th minute with no measurable data to determine what games to do this on. We are going to do this on all games to show how it performs. The BTC strategy involves looking at score lines that have happened between the 2 teams this season and picking ones that have happened the most often. There is no mention of what the threshold is for covering a score. In one game they go for only 2 scores, 1-1 and any other home win, even though the software only shows any unquoted, so there's no way of it showing a home or an away win, but we'll run with that. And as they seem to vary between 2 and 3 scores they select, we're going to take the favourite 2 scores based on the simulator odds. Again, this is an assumption as it is not clear from the video how they select matches. We've already run the 100 games, but we'll run through the simulator a few times to show you how we've traded them. These games won't count towards the final data, which we'll analyse later. The first thing to do is look for a game where the home team odds are between 1.2 and 1.8. So we found our game and we need to cover 1-0, 1-1, 2-0, 2-1, 3-0 and 3-1. Sports Trading Life normally have similar scores to these, but sometimes there are different ones. Again, there is no commentary on what scores to select. That is obviously for the privileged who decide to pay for the advanced course. And we will look at the BTC strategy in a short while because the scores will be different on that. So remember to click Dutch. We're going to use stakes of £100 because they're the default for the simulator, but in real life we wouldn't be using those. And we see how the game plays out. So straight away, that's bad news as the away team have taken the lead. And that's good for us. The home team have equalised, and it's 2-1 at half time. So as that is a score we cover, we take the liability off that, which is £70. And we just put a normal lay bet in. So that reduces the risk on the scores which we don't cover and increases the profit on the ones that we do cover. So moving on. So we get to 70 minutes. So we don't cover 2 scores on my strategy. So at this point I would be cashing out for a £3.46 loss. And we'll keep it running for the other strategies. So we'll go 3-1 up. And so on my 90-minute strategy, leaving it running till the end, we would have had a loss of £81.58. And on the sports trading life strategy, we would probably cash out around this time for a £10 profit. Now, as the score ended 4-1, we can look at the 2 most popular score lines, which would have been 8.6 on the 1-1, 8.4 on the 2-0. So it was any other home win. So the BTC strategy would have also lost the full stake on that game. So let's pick another game. Here we go, Charleroi versus Mechelen. So again, we put in our normal scores and Dutch them for £100. And let's see how this game plays out. So 0-0 at half time. We don't cover that score, so we can't reduce any of our liability. And we get a 65th minute goal. So in this case, at 70 minutes, we cover the 1-1 and the 2-0, so we're going to stay in. And the moment the score goes to 1-1 there, we'd be cashing this out for £44 profit, because any other away goal is going to kill us in this trade. We keep it running for the other strategies, and it finishes 2-1. So our 90-minute trade would have won £77 there. The sports trading life trade, so they would cash out at the liability £77 on the first goal. And then on the second goal, at 78 minutes, make it 1-1, they would take the liability of 114 off that. Like so. And the next goal there is 81 minutes, which is still before the 85 minutes we've got set as the rule. So they would take 255 quid off that. And they would lay that. So you can see that if another goal was to go in, then we're talking massive profits here. But as it turns out, 31p. And that's why it's a sensationalist kind of YouTube style approach. It's great when it works. When it doesn't work, not so good. So the score was 2-1. Let's see how that would work with the BTC strategy. So the 2 lowest scores there would be 1-1 at 8.2, and it looks like the 2-1 at 9. So that would have won on their strategy as well. So let's just run that through and see what kind of profit we would make. So clear those down because we don't need them. Touch those 2 scores and go to the end of the game. So there we go, nice £329 profit. So when it comes in, it's great. As we're only looking at 2 scores, it's you've got to be pretty spot on and hope the odds are correct. But that's the way that they're kind of pushing the trade through the video. So that's how we're kind of modelling it here as well. So now you've seen how the simulator has been run, let's look at the results for the first run. We've recorded all these in Google Sheets. Someone recently said, don't use free stuff. There's a reason it's free. Yet they use Google Sheets too. Sometimes free is better than paying high subscriptions. Anyway, I digress. You can see for our creative strategy, we do take a few hits, but more often than not, we take smaller hits than others on strategies when it all goes wrong. On the flip side, we do sometimes take smaller profits due to getting out early. That is the trade-off, but we are in control most of the time. The only time we aren't is when there are multiple early goals for the away team. That is where our 70% home scored first and 70% away conceded first comes in, which we can't replicate in the simulator. Scrolling down the list, we can see that we're getting more winning trades than losses, and where we do lose, these are relatively small. For example, 0-0 at 70 minutes will see us lose between 30 and 40% of our stake typically. With our other strategy where we stay in for 90 minutes, we make some significantly bigger profits, but we also lose our full stake more frequently. On this run, it still seems to be a viable strategy, so the second run will be interesting to see if we are able to maintain this success. For the sports trading life results, there are a lot of scratch trades. This is expected as we are staying in this trade for goals up to the 85th minute. As I said on the previous video, this looks great when it works in a YouTube video, but in reality it's a terrible way to trade. It's 100% gambling that there's going to be a goal in the last 5 minutes. We can see that when this does work, it does give large results, but there's quite a wait in between to be able to achieve these results. The BTC results are a series of highs or full loss. There's no talk of exit plans, so we let the trade run to the end of the game. As there is no sequences between the scores, as highlighted in their videos where one of their scores was a 1-1 and the other was 3-3, we need a little bit of luck really to land exactly on the correct score. There's no kind of wriggle room using this strategy unless the two favourite scores happen to be side by side, which is not guaranteed. So overall in this first run, our own 70-minute reality check strategy made £611.57. The same strategy that we let run till the 90 minutes made us £1,160.79. The sports trading life strategy, removing all liability up to the 85th minute, lost £434.74. And the BTC Dutch, the two favourite scores, would have lost us £1,099.60. And we can see the movements on the graph. Not one strategy ran away with it initially. And when we get to about the halfway mark, we can see that the two strategies that I've created start to make a profit. They're not going up massively, but they're accumulating. And the two third-party strategies tend to drop off the BTC one considerably in the last 25 trades or so. So I know there will be some who don't think that these results are a fair reflection of the strategies, and they're probably right. What I've done here is show how the strategies have been sold to people who would stumble across the respective YouTube videos. What we've done is to tweak the rules of the two third-party strategies to show how they could be used if the creators had taken due care to test and communicate them more thoroughly. With the Sports Trading Live video, we've binned the concept of getting in after the 85th minute goal. We are going to keep that data in this run, but introduce some control. We are going to cash out if a goal is scored after 75 minutes and we don't cover the next two scores. For the BTC strategy, we are going to cover more scores. Any score that has odds of under 10 will now be included. This should give us approximately 4 scores per game. The two strategies that I created have stayed the same. So as before, we'll run through a few sample trades, and we'll just focus on the two new BTC and Sports Trading Life strategies that we have tweaked. So here's our first game, and we'll start with the Sports Trading Life strategy. So we'll load our scores in and Dutch those. Let's hope for the best. So 1-0 at half time is good, so we can still take the 65 liability out of that and lay that. And we get 1-1, which is probably not so good, but we will lay the liability on that, which is 76. And 2-1 there, 58, so we can lay the liability on that at 95. And now we want, so you can see there we've made a total loss on this game of £28.88 once that second away goal went in. But we would have been in a better position should another home goal have got in at this moment of time, because we would have just cashed out. We take it to the end and it finishes 2-2. So we can check now anything that is under 10 for the odds. So 2-2 was well over there. So that would have been a full £100 loss on the BTC strategy. So let's try this game. Tigres against Club Leon. So we'll load the Sports Trading Live scores back in. And we've got 1-0 at half time again, which is good for us. So we'll take the 73 liability from that. That goes 2-0, so we can now take the 89 liability from there. And as there were no further goals after the 75th minute, then we just make 45p on that one. And looking at the BTC strategy, so 2-0 is lower than 10 there, so this is going to make us some profit here. So let's quickly put these scores in. So we want anything under 10, so we've got 2-1, 2-0, 1-1 and 1-0. And just clear those out because we don't need them. And we can Dutch that and go right to the end of the game. And we make 124.51. So our profit is smaller than it would have been on just touching the 2 games, but we've now got twice the number of selections in there. So we should be making more consistent profits with this new strategy. So in this game, we can see the home team have just equalised in the 50th minute. So we will take the £81 liability out of the market. And so there's a 76th minute goal here. Now, on the previous strategy, we'd have taken the liability out of the market and gone for another goal, but we would take the £47.31 in this instance and lock in the profit. As it turns out, there were no further goals in this game, so if we'd have taken the liability out, we'd have probably been left with about 17p, but £47.31 is a much better return. And looking at the BTC score, again, 2-1 was under 10, so again, this would have been a win. So that is looking a far more profitable trade now we've put a tweak in there and a bit more control. So the results for the second run are interesting. The 70-minute strategy started well, but struggled towards the end, as they all did. This was predominantly down to the away team scoring 2 first-half goals in the simulations, which rendered the games dead in the water. Again, with our full selection criteria, we would probably have avoided many of these games. The 90-minute strategy had a nightmare. Remember, this was the best performing strategy in the first 100 run. On the second run, it was the worst performing, losing nearly £800, this after making almost £1,200 previously. We can also see the original Sports Trading Live strategy was equally as bad. Having lost over £400 in the first run, it lost another £724 this time. With the tweaks we made to the strategy, it would have lost us just £4.69. As we can see from the data, it was making good profits until the downturn towards the end that affected all of the strategies. Finally, the BTC variant. The tweak we made had a massive difference. Throughout this run, this strategy was running strong. More often than not, we needed a late goal to bag a winner, but as you can see, we had plenty of winning trades, making £542 on this run. Looking at the graph, we can see that the Sports Trading Live original strategy had a terrible start, and then almost got back on track with a big win before falling away again towards the end. The BTC strategy had a really fast start compared with all the other strategies, but it was reeled back in during the middle part of the run, only to pull away at the end when most of the trades were taking full losses. And because of the nature of the BTC trades, a win was far bigger than wins on any of the other strategies, allowing it to pull away further. And the only strategy that made a profit on both runs was our 70-minute version. This is interesting, as this is the strategy that had the smallest profits and also the smallest losses per trade. It is also the strategy that had the most control in it, which is what the real message is in this video. Everybody loves to see the big win with a last-minute goal, but in reality, those types of trades are few and far between. The more control you exert over your trade, the more chance you have of constant profit. It is not the sexiest of strategies, but it is the one that will have your bank going in the right direction over a long period of time. I'm not saying copy this strategy. You've seen how we've made improvements to 2 of these strategies during the video, and there are probably lots of improvements that can be done to mine too. This is a different video to what we normally do, but it is an important one. Always be in control of your own trade. Don't just follow the noise. It will make you a better trader, and that has to be the ultimate goal. Thank you for watching.